Hello guys, and welcome back to Stylish Nigeria YouTube channel. Thank you so much guys. I really do appreciate all of my subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. And then if you are new to my channel, you're welcome. If you're just passing by, you're also welcome. And then please do not hesitate to hit on the subscribe button to subscribe. It actually takes nothing to do that. And then hit the notification bell just beside to get updates whenever I upload a new video. Yeah guys, I actually made a draft today. I'm actually going to be teaching you how to cut and sew a 4-piece blouse. I actually made the pattern drafting of this particular style, this 4 pieces blouse that I'm about to cut and sew. Now I made it some time ago, and so most of you asked that I should show how to sew it, so that's what I've come to do today in this next video. So I'm just going to be dropping the link to the pattern drafting on the description box just below, so you could go there, watch the pattern draft, and then watch this other videos to understand what we've done. So I have my lace fabric. I'm going to be making use of a lace fabric. You could actually make use of an Ankara, whatever fabric you want to, you could make use of it. So this is a lace fabric, and what I have here is 1.5 yards of lace fabric. So all of you know that lace fabric is light, so I'm just going to be showing you some of the materials that I'm going to be using to make this dress. So the first thing that I have here, I'm going to be using hairstay. So this hairstay is what I'm going to be adding to my fabric. Before then, I have 3 fabrics here. This first one that I have is doll face satin. This doll face satin, I'm going to be using it for the sleeves. So I'm going to be using this for the sleeve. And then I have my taffeta. This taffeta, that's what I'm going to be using to cover up my lace. So I'll put this to cover up, and then I'll use my regular lining to interface it inside. So I'm just going to be showing you this whole process, because lace, you cannot actually put your lining directly. It will not really look good. So that's just the essence of this whole combination of fabric. So the other things that I'm going to be using, I have my pads. Some call it wadding. That is, it's not the really strong one. So because this is a bustier, so I'm going to be making use of this for the bustier part. And then I have my soft gum stay. This is the soft one. So I'm just going to be ironing this soft gum stay on my lining. I'm going to be ironing it on the lining. And then I have my hair stay, so I'm going to be ironing this hair stay on my taffeta, so just to make the blouse to look good. You could see the picture up there, so I want it sitting perfectly. So that's just the essence of this whole thing. And then I have my zipper. So, and then my patterns from my previous video. So I'm just going to be placing the patterns. I'll place them on top of my fabric and cut out. I could place it on the lace, or I could place it on the taffeta. So I'll just place and then cut them all out. I prefer to place on the taffeta. It makes it easier, so I don't waste my lace. So I'll just fold it out now and then place and then cut them out. Okay guys, welcome back. So you could see what I've done now. So I finished trimming out every of my pieces. So this is the center. So this is the center front, so you could see it. So this is my lace on it, and my the lining that I'm using for the inside. I'm using taffeta. You could decide to choose to use any fabric of your choice. You could decide to make use of a satin, so it depends on what you want. So but me, I'm making use of a taffeta for the lace, because you cannot really sew lace like that. So this will not be like my fabric. And then this is the lining. So you could see this is the lining for this one that I have here. So this is the lining. So, and then these are the sides of it. This is the side. So you could see my chest pad, and then interfacing on it, because I want it to be firm. So, and then this is the back piece. also. So now I'm just going to explain how I'm going to be sewing these pieces together, this for this 4 pieces blouse. So the first thing I'm going to take is I'm going to take, and you could see this side. You could decide, for like somebody that is a beginner, that you don't really know how to do this properly, you could just run a stitch along this line, as in you could run a stitch just to secure the lace to the taffeta. Just run a stitch around it to secure it. But for me, I don't need to do that. I could pull it off straight away. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to take this piece and then bring it to this side of this one. This is my center front, and then I'm just going to start sewing from the down part. I'm going to start sewing. I'll just run a stitch, sew, and then sew, and then I'll get to this point. You could see my armhole point. I'll do this for the front. I'll do this, I'll attach this to this side, and then for the back, the lining, I'll couple the linings just the same way, and then do the back piece, and then I'll bring it back to shape out the dress, to shape out this 4 pieces blouse for you. I'll cut out the neck and then the actual shape, and then show you how to turn it with your lining. So I'm just going to do that and I'll come back. Okay, welcome back, guys. So you could see I finished coupling my blouse. That's in the I finished coupling my taffeta to my lace. So this is the back piece, so you could see it, and then this is the front piece. This is one side, so you could see everything facing together, forming the cup. So you could see my cup, and then this is the other side of it, so you could see my cup, and then you could see the lining. So this is one side of the lining. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now, I'm going to be shaping out the shape of the blouse. So I'll just keep the lining on the side and then work with it. So before doing that, in order for you to do this perfectly well, you have to pin them together, so it doesn't, just to secure it so it doesn't move. So I'm just going to do that now. Make sure your lines are on the same spot. Make sure that they are together. So guys, I finished pinning it together. So I decided to pin it on the right side, so because I want to actually see what I'm doing properly, because this is a lace fabric, you know, and because of the taffeta, I don't want it to shift. So that is why I decided to pin it on the right side, so I'll see what I'm doing properly. So I'm just making sure that everything is in place. So the bust, you could see it is together. So I'll just turn it, make sure everything is on the same line, and then the back piece is on the same line also. So I'm just going to leave it like this, the back, and then this is the front. So you know it's the front that has the zipper allowance. The back, I'm just going to be running a stitch along just to secure the back. I just decided to open it. You could choose not to open yours. So I'm just going to place it like this, or I could decide to do it one at a time and then use the other one to cut out the other one. So I'm just going to place it like this. And for the neck, I'm just going to do a simple and round neck, high round neck. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be putting that tiny collar like a picture on. I don't like it. I don't want it. So I'm just going to do a simple high round neck. So it will be better because this is a lace. The picture, that one is an Ankara, so it will be, that one is better on Ankara, but for this lace, I don't want to do that color. So I'm just going to start measuring now. So the first thing I'm going to do now, I'll measure out my shoulder line. I'll measure out the neckline. So I just want to trim out the neckline properly. So in shaping out a blouse like this, the first thing you check is your bust point, and then the under bust. You make sure it is okay. So I'm just going to check mine now. Okay, it's just so perfect. So I have it all lined out. So the next thing, so because of my 2-inch allowance here, I'm just going to trim out the edges first. I'm just going to straighten out the edges of my fabric first before I continue. So I'm going to straighten them out. So you could see the edge, that's the center, this my center front, you could see it's straight. So that's the first thing you do. You straighten it out because of the sewing, so it has shifted a little bit. So the next thing I'm just going to do now, I'm just going to come to this neckline point and make sure I measure out my shoulder. So my shoulder is 7 inches, which is 14, and then I still have my seam allowance on the armhole part, so that is okay. So I have my zipper allowance here. Make sure you check as long as you're doing, so it doesn't shift from the inside. So I'm just going to leave, and this my zipper allowance, I'm just going to reduce it to like 1.5. So you could decide to still continue with your 2 inches. I'm just going to reduce it. So from this point now, I'm just going to measure out my neckline properly. So I used 3 by 3 before, but now I'm going to increase it so you could see what it's doing to my fabric, the chalk. So I'm just going to come down a bit. I want to measure, I just want to be sure. I want it high. I want it high. Not really too high. So maybe I'm just going to, from my shoulder, I'm just going to do this. It's just going to be here, just like a regular. 6 is okay. So I'm just going to do my 1/2 inch up here. I'm still leaving it. So I'm cross-checking my fabrics because I don't want them to move. That is why you see I'm cross-checking it so much. So this is like my 6 inches. I'm just doing this because I want to be very, very careful. That is why I'm doing this. So I'm just going to do this. So I'll cut out the front neckline. The back, I'm not going to cut out the back. The back, I still want it to be high. So for the back neckline, I'm just going to follow my line here. And then I'll reduce the back. I'll reduce the back. I'll make the back 3 inches. I'll make the back 3 inches. So I'll cut out the back. So this is the back neckline, so you could see it. So I'll cut out the front one now. So you could see both of them. You see both of them. They are on the same line. So the next thing, I'll trim out because it's a lace and the shifting. So I'm just going to trim out my shoulder slants now. I'll trim it out properly. I'm making sure, I'm still checking to make sure that my bust point is still intact, so you don't run into any problem. So I'm just going to use that 1/2 inch. I'm just going to slant the shoulder line properly. I'm going to slant it like this. So this is just like basically like I'm just trimming out my fabric, making sure everything is in place, everything is in order. So the next thing I'm going to do now, my 2 inch allowance is here, is still here. So I'm just still going to be leaving that. I've reduced it to 1, so I'm using 1 inch. That's for the zipper part. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm just going to be measuring the length of my blouse. So this here, you could decide to stuff things in to make it out. It's already out. Not like I'm not that busty like that. So I'm just going to measure. I'm going to be making use of 23 inches. So I'll reduce my blouse length now. I'll reduce it to 23 inches. So this is 23 inches, and then I'll add this 1 inch to it as my allowance. So this is like 24, so you could see it here. So I'm just stopping it here, and then I'm just still going to be doing this. For this, you stretch out this part. In order for you to get it out properly, I'll stretch out this part and then make a line here. I hope you can see it. I just made a line here. That's on the neckline, and then I'll place my tape here. I could still do it like this from this point, but I just want it to be very accurate. I don't want any parts truncated, so that is why I'm doing this. So you could see, though, this is just like the straight neckline. I hope you understand it. This is just like the straight neckline, so that's why I made that line there. So I'm just going to be stretching it out. I'm measuring 24. I'll stretch it out properly so the center of my dress is not jumped up. So this is like my 24 now. So I'm just going to curve it like this, and then I'll come back to the neckline point again, and I'm measuring my 24. So you could see now, you see where my 24 line is now. Here it was here, now you see where it is. So I'm just going to mark this and then still remain on that same line. I'll stretch out this point now like this. You could see where my 24 is. I'm almost, the whole of my fabric is almost finished, it's almost gone. So you could see where my 24 line is. So I'm just going to be making a slant to this side like this. I'll use so you could see it properly. So you could see what I'm doing. I'm coming up by 1 inch. That's from this point like this, 1 inch, because I just want to get that curved effect. So 1 inch. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now, because it's not going to show, I'm just going to try and see how I will mark it for you to see. So you could see the shape. You could see the shape I'm taking. I'm just going to come like this. I'll come to this point, so where my 24 is, and then I'll come and then I'll chop it up from this point. I hope you got what I did. I'm just going to do that and then measure out the side. So I'm just going to trim out this ones first. So you could see the shape now. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to measure out my bust measurement, which is 9 inches, and then remember my 1 inch allowance that I'm using for my to join, that's for the back, and then for my zipper. So I'm just going to leave that there, and then this is like my 9 inches. So I'll just put it just a little bit below the, and then I'll still maintain my 2 inches allowance now. So because I'm going to be sewing and turning from the inside, so I'll use 2 inches. So the final one, that is where I will now mark that this is where I will do my final stitch. That's when I'm joining the back and the front together, I'll make use of this. But this, I'm doing it to using this extra one because I'm going to be connecting lining to it. So I'm just going to do that. Then for the tummy part, that's on the under bust, I'm going to be making use of 7.5. So this is my 7.5. And then I'll still maintain my allowance, so you could see what I have. So this is how you actually shape your blouse. So the next thing, what I have now, the next thing now is the waist measurement. That's this part, the waist measurement. So I'm just still going to maintain my allowance on this side. So I'm just going to roll it like this, and then I'm still continuing with my allowance. So I'll just mark it like this. So because I want it slanted in order to get that effect, that standing effect. So for the down part, you measure your waist, as in that's almost like the top part of your hip. So it depends on where the blouse will be and how wide you actually want it to be at that point. So you measure it, how wide you actually want the blouse to be. You measure it, and then so I'm just still going to maintain my allowance. Okay, so I have it here, and then I'll mark it here. So I'm just going to cut it out. So everything I used 2 inches on this point. So because I'm still going to be connecting with my, just so bulky, so I'll cut it out. So I finished cutting them out. So the next thing I'm just going to do now, take my lining together like this. You could pin them together so to secure it also, just the way we did the lace part. And then I'll take this, I'm wearing it, literally wearing it on top of it, making sure that my cup, that's the bust cup, is on the same side, pulling everything out, making sure everything is in place. So you can see what I have. So my lining, I'm going to be reducing it by half an inch. I really don't like doing 1 inch. I like half inch, which is okay. Which I've almost done before, so you could see it is like already short already. So the next thing I'm just going to do now, most times I don't like cutting out the neckline. I'll sew it. It makes it perfect for me. So I'll just leave out the neckline, I'll place it on it, and then run a stitch, just sew everything around, and then leave the opening at the armhole part. So this part is the only part that's going to be remaining, just this armhole part. So I'm just going to do that, and then the back piece also I'm going to do it. So I'm just going to show you. Let me place it for you to see. So when I want to sew now, I'm just going to take this piece, so I'm just using the back. I'm just going to take this back piece and then take this is not the side, so this is the side. I'm just going to take this like this, and then I'll place like this, and then I'll start sewing from the down part. So I'll just make sure that these points, they are the same together, and then I'll run a line like this, down, down. I'll leave the armhole, and then run the neckline, and then run a stitch, and then trim it out, and then turn. So that's just what I will do. I'll come back and show you. Okay, welcome back, guys. So you could see what I have now. I have my 4-piece out ready. So you could see this is the back piece, and then this is the front piece. So you could see all of my curves. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now, I've finished uncoupling it. So you could see this is the back. So you could see what I have, so clean and neat. The next thing I'm going to be doing now, I'm going to be joining them, like the back piece. I told you initially that you could choose not to open it, or you could still choose to open it. So I decided to open mine. So what I'm just going to do now, I'm just going to place it like this, and then I'll run a stitch. I'll actually measure and make sure that my measurements are in place, and then run a stitch along this line. So I'll just leave that on the side just to close the back. Then for the front piece, this part, I'm going to be showing you how I'm actually going to be shaping it out. So the first thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to join the middle piece of my blouse. So that's just what basically I'm going to do now. So when I join it, everything will be standing like this. So I'm going to join the middle piece, and how to do that, I'm just going to take one piece of my blouse and then take the other piece like this. I'll put them together, making sure that the neckline is aligned, is the same, and then the down point, you could see, making sure that everything is the same. So what I'm going to do now, I could just I'll use my pins. I'll just secure like this because I don't want it to move. So just do this. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to take out my body measurement before I proceed. So the first thing, my bust measurement, which is 9 inches. That's 36 divided by 4 is 9 inches. I just want to make sure that I have enough measurement. So this is my 9 inches. And remember the zipper allowance, I used on 1 inch. So this is like the 1 inch now. So this is my 1 inch, which I'm going to be running my zipper along. I'm just going to make it accurate, because if you get those parts right, your blouse shape will come out perfectly well. Then the under bust measurement, which I am using on 30, which is 7.5. So this is like my 7.5. And then for this part, I'm going to be checking it in by 1.5 inch. I'm not going to use 1 inch. I'll take it in by 1.5 inch, so you could see what I have. So the shape is coming like this. You see a curve that I have here. I have like a curve here. So this part is straight, and then I have a curve here from the under bust part. I just have a curve here. You could see, I hope you could see it clearly. So I have a curve. I'm just repeating it because I want you to really get it. Once you get this thing right, this part, your blouse will come out perfectly on your body. So the next thing, I will continue with my 1 inch on this down part. So I'm just going to do it like this, and then I'm going to be coming like this, so you could see what I have here. So you could see what I have, you could see the shape. So this is how I'm going to be fixing my zipper. This is how I'm going to be fixing my zipper. It's not going to be straight. So with that, I'm going to get a perfect shape for the front part. So I'm just going to leave this, and then I'll do the same thing to the back also. This actually gives the back a beautiful, it still gives it that firmness and that fit. So I'm still going to do the same thing with the back piece also. I'll just make sure that my measurements are accurate, using 1 inch from the neckline side, and then when I get to the under bust, which is this part, I'm going to use 1.5 inch. So this is what gives it that perfect fit, and then I'll take it all the way to the down part. So I'm just going to take it to my machine and run. I will sew the stitch here, fix my zipper, and then join my shoulder line, and then come back and show you how to measure out the side. Okay, welcome back, guys. So you could see my blouse is looking so beautiful already. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to shape it out. That's the actual measurements. I'm going to shape it from the inside. So I'm just going to remove the pins. So I'm turning it from the inside, so I'll just use my pins to secure it. So the first thing I'm going to do now, measure out the bust, which is 18 inches. So I'll measure out the waist line. So from here, my waist is 13. So you can see what I have. I'm just going to shape it out. So this is my waist measurement, which is 30, that's 15, so you could see it. And then the hemline, that's the down part. So you measure the down part of your blouse, and make sure that this side you could see. So you're not meant to measure this part, you're just going to take your tape across it like this, and then come like this. So now I'll take it to my machine and then sew it out, and then trim out my armhole, and then come back and show you before I fix the sleeves. Alright guys, so welcome back guys. So you can see my blouse is looking so good. So you can see my 4-piece blouse. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm almost done with the blouse. The only thing I'm going to do now, finish shaping out the armhole, so everything is just in place, so lined up. The next thing, the only thing that is remaining now, this is the zipper. So the next thing I'm going to do now is just to fix the sleeves. So, and the sleeve I'm going to be doing, I'm not going to be showing it on this video because it's a balloon sleeve. I have the video already on my channel, so I'll put the link on the description box for you to see. So at the end of the day, I have now come to the end of this video, how to sew this 4-piece blouse. So if you like what I did, please hit on the like button to let me know you actually appreciate what I did with this video. And then if you have not subscribed, like I said, subscribe and then like my video. So thank you so much for watching, and bye. God bless you.